ঠিক আছে। So I just need to keep on pressing.
Yeah, so I can give you. What is it? Oh no, wrong way, sorry. So, pages.
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Allahumma allimna bima yanfa'una wanfa'na bima 'allamtana. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilma. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Aqimus salata wa atuz zakah. Assalamu alaikum everyone. I just wanted to start off with a virtue of sitting in circles after in the masjid or anywhere else. The hadith goes that there are angels who go around in caravans looking for circles where people are remembering Allah. So this hadith is quite long, but at the end of it, it says that all the people who have gathered to remember Allah, Allah forgives everyone, all the participants. Even a person who actually had no business in that of that gathering, he was going past and he just happened to sit in that majlis. This person is also forgiven. So inshallah, we know that Ramadan, we've heard this hadith over and over again. A person who keeps fast imanan wa ihtisaban, with faith and with hoping reward from Allah, غُفِرَ لَهُ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِنْ ذَنْبِهِ, his previous sins are forgiven. So if anything I was just reminding everyone, myself as well, that anything we do with this consciousness that we are believers in Allah, and whatever we do in life, we seek reward from Allah. Reward meaning the best of reward from Allah that we can ask for is His pleasure. There's nothing more that a person gets from Allah bigger than His pleasure. That is the reason why we see that Allah says about the Sahaba, radiyallahu anhum wa radu an. So hopefully, inshallah, this is what I wanted to start with just reminding each other the niyyah that we should have when we sit in such gathering. So today, inshallah, the topic is zakah, the rules and regulation of zakah. And inshallah, we'll quickly go through it, not delving into much detail, but hopefully we'll cover the main points, and it will allow us to then go and calculate our zakah, inshallah. So the literal meaning of zakah is purification. And there's another meaning of the word zakah in Arabic. It also means growth. And we can see that in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that it purifies the rest of the wealth. The Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah has made it a source of purification for your wealth. Ibn Majah and Bayhaqi. It also purifies one's sins, inner qualities such as stinginess. The the Holy Quran has said, take out of their wealth a sadaqah by which you may cleanse and purify them. So you can see that the verse should have been actually mentioned before the hadith. We can see from the hadith, the verse, that giving sadaqah, zakah, it purifies the person who's giving out that zakah. Inshallah, we paying our zakah, it will bring cleanliness in our soul, inshallah. Allah will clean our soul from these ill traits. Moving on, if you were to ask, what are the conditions for zakah becoming obligatory on someone, we will say that that person who needs to pay zakah, he needs to be a sane person. That person needs to has reached puberty. That person needs to be a Muslim. That person needs to be owner of a nisab. Nisab is basically the minimum threshold. We'll discuss that inshallah in detail. So therefore, if zakat is obligatory upon a sane, so insane people, zakat is not fard upon. Okay, so we see that many children, many people are mentally disabled. Mentally, they're not sound, so they don't need to pay zakat. Okay. I mean, I see that some say that, look, my child, he's 18 years old now, but he has not grown mentally. So he's still, behaves like a child. When he talks, he cannot distinguish between good and bad. So from that we can see that this person, although by age he has grown, but mentally he has not grown. So upon such people, zakat is not obligatory. If the person has not reached puberty, again that person does not need to pay zakat. So this is something to understand, that this is specifically in Hanafi madhab. Okay, so in Hanafi madhab, a child, if he's very wealthy, he's got nisab, he does not need to pay zakat. Okay, but if you hear anybody say that the child, of course they need to pay zakat. I've heard it in the masjid, the sheikh told us. So that is not the Hanafi position. I hope that will be helpful and not confuse you brothers and sisters when you actually come across people who say that, oh, you need to pay zakat on children's wealth. Is that clear? So according to other ai actually all three ai Imam Malik, Imam Shafi, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, as far as I've seen, that a child, if he is wealthy, if he's got the minimum threshold, you will pay, the guardian will pay zakat of his money. Okay. I don't know how many of you are here Hanafis. Do you follow Hanafi madhab? Okay, one person here, yourself. Okay. Shafi'i madhab, anybody follow Shafi'i madhab? Okay, so brother, you most probably heard from the shuyukh here. Do you pay zakat do you have to pay zakat on your children's wealth if they have nisab money? Yeah, in Shafi'i madhab you do. A child needs to pay zakah. So you can, the saying in wallahu alam if that applies to you or not, but definitely, if he's a child, he would need to pay zakat. Yes. You need to be a Muslim. Non-Muslim, zakat is not obligatory on their wealth. They are first addressed by Allah to basically become Muslim. So after they become Muslim, then zakah becomes obligatory. Okay, so if you're non-Muslim, zakat is not obligatory upon you. You need to have the minimum threshold for zakat to be obligatory on you. And then we have, again, that's to clarify that child, again, doesn't need to pay zakat. Insane person and anybody with mental disability, they do not need to pay zakat. Now we're getting into little detail of what nisab is. So there are two items that we measure the threshold by. One is gold, and that is if you have that amount of gold, then basically you have met the threshold, minimum threshold. That is 87.48 grams. That's in, if you were to talk in body, I don't know if you understand, that's about 7.5 body or tola. Okay, so 87.479 grams here, gold, you need to pay, if you have that much or more, you need to pay zakat. 600, and if you have silver, and the threshold for silver is 612.36 grams. Okay, so if you have gold and silver, of course, you will measure it. You will see that if you have that amount. And basically, other thing that you have any asset, what you call zakatable asset, if you have, you pay zakat on that as well. We'll come to that's actually the next point. What are the zakatable assets that you pay zakat on, other than gold and silver? So you can see that cash or cash equivalent, that mostly referring to Bitcoin and all that today. So they are zakatable. Stock in trade or goods bought for resale, that is zakatable. Okay, so if you have purchased anything to sell, that is zakatable. The most question we get in relation to that is basically, I purchased a house, and that's what I do. I basically what? Purchase house and sell them. So if that is the purpose why you have purchased a house to resell them, then of course you will have to pay zakat on what? The market value of that house. Every year, as long as you have not sold that house, every year, whenever your zakat day comes, you will have to pay zakat on the value of that house. Okay? What if you have basically rented that property out? Although you have purchased to resell it, then basically you thought, I'm going to have it for a year. Why should I leave it empty? Why don't I make some money in the middle? And now you have turned it into a rental property. Do you now have to pay zakat on that property anymore? No, you don't, because you have changed it. You have changed the status of that house now, property, from a merchandise to what? A rental property. Rental property are not zakatable. Yes, brother?
But doesn't it depend on the niyat? So if your niyat is still to sell the property?
No, but because currently you have occupied it, you have changed it to a rental property, although the future, that will be a separate intention. We're talking about what is the status of that property at this moment, you see. Now, of course, you can do that actually, now that you have changed it to a rental property. Now if you were to now empty the house, and now you want to actually put it back on the market, or the sale is about to happen, and it's not happening 1 or 2, 3 months, it goes past without you being able to sell it. Again, for those 3 months, it will not be considered as a what you call merchandise. You see, a property that you purchase to resell, it will not be considered at that moment of time. So do you see? The status of the property can change from a merchandise to a rental property or a residency, but once it has turned to a residential property, If you make intention to resell it, it doesn't become a merchandise anymore. You see? Just remember that, inshallah.
What if someone gets a loan and buy a property, say you get £100,000 loan, and bought a property for £100,000, and they want to resell it, do they have to pay zakat?
Okay, so listen, the main point to remember is, why did that person purchase this house? You see, when he went to the market to buy, why did he buy it for?
To resell.
Yeah, then basically that's zakatable.
But he has a debt of 100,000.
That's it. You'll minus that, isn't it? You'll minus that. If it is a short-term debt, you cannot minus all of it. You can minus the next 12 installment that you pay. Okay. Remember, guys, I'm not talking about. That's a separate question here. Is mortgage permissible or not? That's a separate question. But I'm just talking about in terms of zakat. Would that how do you deal with that property? Is that clear?
So what if you buy the property, you rent it out for a while and sell it? What if you have that kind of intention?
Okay, so again, see, you've occupied it. I know that's the future intention. I've told you before. Now that you have, so basically, one of the conditions is that when it's basically it is prepared and kept for. That's the condition here. It to remain as a merchandise, it has to be kept as a merchandise. Do you get me? That's the condition. Now you have not kept it as a merchandise anymore, have you? Because you have actually rented it out. Do you see?
Is the profit on the price of the property, or is that on the profit you make on it?
No. The whole value. Zakat. Just say I've got a property that I purchased to sell. My zakat has come. I will have to value that property and pay zakat on the value of that property. Okay?
Even if you make a loss?
How are you making a loss?
So let's say you bought a property at 100K as an example, and you sell it at 90, it's a loss, right? For whatever reason.
Okay, so listen, and so basically the moment you're doing you're calculating your zakat, whatever the value is, you pay zakat on that value, not the purchase value. Is that clear?
No, I understand that, but because you are calculating once a year, over the last, let's say, 12 months, you might have had a couple of transactions.
Oh, it doesn't matter what happened. It's on the day of your calculating, that day it matters what is the value. I don't know if I've explained. Do you see? It doesn't matter what happened during the year, value went up and down, it doesn't matter. The day you're valuing your property, that is the day you basically, see that what value, what is the market value of that property. So if you purchased for 100,000 and today's value is 90,000, then basically zakat will be on what? 90,000. And of course you can, 1 year's installment, that you're in debt as well, isn't it? Yeah, because you're in debt, what you can do is, as well, you can minus, the next 12 installment that you pay on that property.
So I assume the same thing applies with, let's say, cash or anything else, right? The same thing, right? Anything that you buy.
Okay, give an example. What is it?
So like there are some people who do, let's say, foreign exchange trading.
Okay.
So they are, let's say, buying at one currency, selling another currency, and if they take the full nominal value.
So they have the asset somewhere, yeah, cash somewhere, isn't it, in the bank somewhere?
Nowadays it's all electronic. Right?
Okay. So yeah, of course, so basically what you'll do, convert, isn't it? So basically just say the dollar, you need to pay, you have dollar, yeah, $100,000 in your account. Of course you're in the UK. What you'll do, you need to pay 2.5% of that. You can convert that, and then pay. You need to pay 2,000. So livestock is zakatable as well. Of course, none of us. I don't know anybody here. Anybody own about 5 camels? 5 camels that are not for like you're basically plowing, land with it. Is a camel that you do not load burden on it. Such camel, I don't think anybody owns here. So therefore, if you ever do actually buy livestock and it reaches about, and it's not for like in plowing purpose or some, you need to make the animal do some work for you, they are not zakatable. It's for one specific purpose that you buy the livestock, and they are only zakatable. So basically, you have purchased the livestock for breeding purpose, or you're going to for their milk, or basically for their meat. And basically, they again, of course, if you bring the fodder to the animal, they're not zakatable. Anyway, we don't have to go too much detail, but just remember that livestock, they are zakatable. So camel, we said 5, that's the minimum number of camel you need to have for it to be zakatable. If it is sheep or goat, 40. If it is a cow, then it's 30. I don't think anybody, even in back home, you would have 30 cows.
So all these numbers that you're saying, is that based on how much, let's say 87.48 grams of gold?
No, there is separate nisab given, separate threshold given by the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The 5 camel, the Messenger sallallahu stipulated that if you have 5 camel, do you see?
No, I understand, but was that because in those days?
Okay, I understand the question. Yeah, somewhat similar. If you want to read on that, Sheikh Yusuf al-Qardawi actually discussed that in his Kitab, Book of Zakah, a detail of it, if you want to study that. Yeah? Somewhat, I believe so, they were equal in value, like 87.47 grams. Do you see? Agricultural produce as well, they are zakatable. So if you grow crops in the land field, they are zakatable. So the day you harvest your crops, you have to give 10%. That might apply to some of our family members back home. Okay? So the day you, like rice, wheat or whatever, in the field, the day you harvest, you have to basically what? It depends actually how the land was irrigated. If it was from natural sources, yeah, then 10%. For the majority of the time, yeah, you have irrigated the land with natural sources, it was raining, then you have to pay 10%. If you artificially irrigating the land, like with the pump machine, yeah, then it's 5%. Okay, so one question that applies to us is basically, maybe you have, now that summer is coming, you'll be growing kaddu or bottle gourd and all that in your backyard. Are they zakatable? Or if an apple tree and all that in your backyard, or many other stuff you grow, pumpkin or aubergine or tomatoes, potatoes, are they zakatable? No. So remember, if it is within your courtyard and all that, they're not zakatable. Of course, if you make a farm, like if you are farming potatoes, then that will be zakatable. Do you see? But in your backyard, if there's a mango tree, there's an apple tree, there's an orange tree, they're not zakatable. If you make an orchard, listen, out of a apple tree, then they'll be zakatable. Do you see? Okay, so I think that will be helpful for us to know that the produce of our backyard, they're not zakatable. Mined wealth is, according to Hanafiya, is zakatable. If you were to mine gold, silver, or any other, they are metal, yeah, they are zakatable. Let's stick with gold and silver. I'm just thinking of the other, some of the metal are not zakatable, do you see? But let's go with gold and silver, that's zakatable. If you find a treasure that doesn't belong to, there are signs in that treasure that we know for sure that they not belong to Muslims, and then that is zakatable as well. You have to give 1/5 of it. 1/5 of mined wealth is zakatable. This is important again. In Hanafi madhab, gold and silver, it only applies to gold and silver. Whichever form you have, it is zakatable. You have gold coins or jewelry, silver coins or jewelry, all of it is zakatable. Anybody know any other opinion in relation to gold and silver? Gold and silver jewelry, according to actually all the other A'imma Thalatha, they are not zakatable. The jewelry that the women wear. Okay, so remember, this mas'ala is again Hanafi. Hanafis actually, they hold this opinion. Is that clear? So Hanafiya say that if a woman is wearing jewelry, that is zakatable. According to like other Aimma, like I know Shafi'i scholar that we know of, I asked him this question. They said that the woman, if you have excessive amount of jewelry, then that excessive amount is zakatable. So normally in custom, the amount of gold and silver in jewelry that women wear, that much is not zakatable, but anything beyond that will be zakatable. So remember guys, I've just mentioned, whose opinion I've just mentioned? Imam Shafi'i's. According to Hanafiya, it doesn't matter as long as all of that amounts to 87.47 grams of gold, then you have to pay what? Zakat on it. It doesn't matter what form it is in. Silver again, 612.36 grams of silver. It doesn't matter what form it is in, you have to pay zakat on. Cash or so if you have cash or then how do you value its how do you pay zakat on it? What do you value it with? So gold and cash, you value it with either silver or either gold. Okay, so you can value it with any one of them. So anybody know today's value of gold and silver? 87.479 grams, or silver 612.36 grams?
I think it's around 4,500.
That's gold, yeah?
Gold, yeah.
And silver?
Silver is cheaper. I think it's 400.
Yeah, it's around 400, yeah. 330, 36. So today, in Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's time, that 612.36 grams of silver and 87.48 grams of gold, that was equal value.
Yeah, this is
equal in value.
Equal value. That's why I think my understanding is silver is that much gram and gold is 7.5. It's equal to value is same. That why
yeah. In Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, they are in value same.
How come is
Silver is in bankruptcy.
Yeah,
Silver.
But why is some people give a fatwa?
Okay, so
nowadays it's very cheap.
Yeah.
That's why you have to in
so
silver.
because it's a stipulation by the Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, like he said. Let me finish. So the messenger, there's that measurement was given. So they say that look, to be on safe. That's what they say. To be on safe side, whichever value your cash reaches first, whichever one, yeah. To be on the safe side, you give it. That's the argument. Like Mufti Taqi Uthmani Sahib and others, they argue. That's the argument. To be on the safe side. Sheikh Yusuf al-Qardawi and others, they are of the opinion that look, you cannot call that person rich. Somebody who has 336 pounds, yeah, you cannot call him rich. Listen, even your property that you rent, 2-bedroom, is about 700 pounds. Even social housing we're talking about here. In the normal market, it will be much more expensive. So you cannot rent a house for 700 pound, no, 300 pound, yeah. So how can you call that person rich? Yeah. So that is the point of Sheikh Yusuf al-Qardawi. They say that look, at least that person, we should be able to call him rich, some significant amount of money. That is the reason they say that look, until you have cash, which amounts to the value of gold, that is around 4,700 pounds, you do not need to pay zakat. Okay? But we cannot totally dismiss the other opinion and reject the other opinion, because you can see that what is their point of view. Their point of view is, guys, still to be on the safe side. Look, they're saying that they're arguing, yeah, like 300. How much they will give zakat of 336 pounds? 2.5% is very minimum amount, yeah. So from that perspective, they say that look, give zakat.
£10, right?
Yeah, something, isn't it? £2.50 or £100, yeah. Yeah, and yeah, £2 to £5. Yes, but send something. Yeah, anyway, so they say it's very in a small amount. Anyway, what we should, if anybody wants to follow that opinion, they should be not condemned. Do you see? They have all right to follow that opinion. But there's this other opinion, like European Al-Majlis al-Urubi lil-Iftai wal-Buhuth, European Council of Fatwa and Research. Sheikh Judair is part of that. Sheikh Usul Qardawi is part of that. Sheikh Abdullah bin Bay'a is part of that now. Sheikh Usul Qardawi passed away, isn't it? Rahimahullah. So there are other ulama as well in that organization, and they say that it should be equivalent to gold. But again, if anybody who wants to follow Mufti Taqi Uthmani's opinion and they want to use 336 gold, silver as a nisab to value their property with, they're welcome to do so. Okay, so, okay, is that, sorry?
Well, there's a question online that says, what if you have products for long-term investment, such as Pokemon cards?
What is that? Why? So somebody has purchased that to resell it, yeah?
Yeah, because it gets, over time, it gets more value.
Yeah, they will have to pay zakat on that.
Okay.
They have to pay zakat on that. We're not talking about permissibility. We're just saying that it's got a merchandise, yeah. Yeah. I don't see anything. Just that is a game, isn't it?
No, it's like long-term investment. So over time, the product gets more expensive, so people resell it.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Halal cash in bank account, of course, that is also zakatable. Listen, if you have interest piling up in your account, that you need to get rid of. So, what do you do with that money? The money, the interest money, if it has piled up, just say 10, 20, 30, 40 pounds, what do you do with that? How do you deal with that? So basically what you do, you take it out from your account and give it away to a poor person, yeah, without intention of thawab. Because haram money is disposable money. You need to dispose it. You need to get rid of it. So without intention of thawab, you'll basically get rid of it. Cash deposit, yeah. So listen, that is also zakatable. If you have saving money for marriage, saving money for Hajj and all that, that money is zakatable.
How about money sitting in the pension?
Yes. Okay, we'll come into that. Look, cash. Sorry. Yeah. Cash deposited. That's zakat. Loan advanced or deposited in trust. Okay, that is zakat. So if you borrowed money to somebody else, that is zakatable. Is that clear? If borrowed receivables, again, that's talking about the same things, yeah. So you borrowed money to someone, and that's receivable, yeah. So you'll have to pay zakat on that. All of that is zakatable, yeah. Certificates, bonds, investments, all of that is zakatable. So your question, yeah, pension money. Listen, the pension money that you directed your employer, okay, to pay in a certain pot, that is zakatable. But you know, the one that you're not in power of, automatically it gets cut by government takes it, yeah? That is not zakatable. Is that clear? The pension money that the government takes without, you don't have no say on it, automatically it is deducted and they put it on a pension pot, that is not zakatable. But the one you direct your employer to invest somewhere, to invest in a pension pot, that is zakatable.
So there are three types of pension. One is the NI pension, which is government control. And there is one is the employer also pays a pension.
Yeah. So
it is not in your control, but the employer pays it. And which is
so do you have to direct him, yeah?
No, they just.
You have to assign yeah?
No, you don't need to assign, but we have a choice to make. Like, for example, the money goes from the employer straight to this pension pot. You cannot access it until you retire.
Okay.
But you can choose, like, how do you want the money to be invested? You want to
is that somewhat in your control, yeah, that money?
No, where it gets invested, you can choose, But you
Yeah,
can
I've seen here they saying that that is basically zakatable. Do you see? Zakatable. Because you have some control over it. Can you before what you call your pension age, can you take that money out?
No, no.
No. But it is, okay. So basically, listen, what we're trying,
no access to that money.
what we're trying to determine here, that did you, like, listen, that's what it is. Listen, I can invest, four of us here, that we will invest our money in for 20 years, and we actually sign up that for 20 years, nobody, no shareholders can have access to that money. Do you see? You can get into that kind of deal, yeah? That kind of partnership. So is that somewhat similar, this pension pot? That,
Yes.
yeah. Then basically you have to pay zakat on it. You see?
Yeah, you have no access to that fund until your pension age.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, what we're trying to determine here is that, is there a point that do you have any control over that money, where it is invested and all that?
You don't have control, but you can choose. Like for example, let's say you want to go on a risky investment, or let's say we want to invest in Chinese market as an example, or wherever. So you can control. Your control is very minimal. It's only like a small choice you can. But most it's probably 1% of the control. 99% control is by the pension provider.
Okay. Okay. So listen, what I will do here, as far as I know, you have to, and I will pass the message to Imam Sahib, and you can ask him, and he'll tell you. Yeah, Mullah Mujahid Sahib. If there's anything different, as far as I know, you have to. But it depends on that. Did you direct your employer or not, or is it without your option that you have to pay that? Do you see? You have no power in basically the government taking that money and investing it somewhere.
No, it's not government actually, it's private. Maybe we can go in deep
Okay.
how it operates.
Okay, we talked about this already actually. We said anything that you purchase to sell, that is a merchandise and that is zakatable, yeah? So listen, that could be in different stages, yeah? Just say you have a factory and you actually manufacture trousers or shirts, so everything that all the raw material that you purchased, of course, is to basically manufacture a shirt or trouser and to resell it. All of that is zakatable, okay? Yeah, assets that are not subject to zakat is other than gold, silver. Yeah. So these are the ones that are zakatable goods. All goods other than gold, silver, cash, which are not bought for resale purpose, are exempted for zakat. Okay. So the trouser that you purchased to wear, maybe for showcase, you just want to, you just have a hobby of buying expensive stuff, they're not zakatable. Ruby, diamond, whatever all the precious stones actually, none of it is zakatable. Okay, so what is zakatable is gold, silver, cash, and any item that you have purchased to resell. Is that clear? Okay, that's actually quite. Diamond is much more maybe expensive than gold, but it's not zakatable. You see?
But when you say cash, in the Prophet time, I don't think they had cash. It was like dinar and dinar.
Okay, so you're right. They had in past days fulus. They had copper coins and all that, and so basically what has happened here. Today the scholars, because it has become a medium of exchange, these items, cash, that is the reason why they have given the same ruling. Okay, there's a whole actually debate about that. Do you know that? That initially they did not, notes here, they were just receipts here. They, that time there was a whole debate, dispute, whether, you know, if you pay that to somebody, is your zakat paid or not, and all of it, until basically it gained the status of what you call currency. Do you see?
Currencies are in actual terms when it started in 1970s. It was the IOU notes. So they're basically just as you said, temporary receipts.
They still are. If you look at the
They
note,
still are. If you look at the notes.
Yeah.
if you look at the note, it is still
You try to go to a bank and say that, look.
My God.
Yeah. Only is if you take a very old note, they'll still be bound to basically give you a equivalent, you see, note. But yeah, it's true. But again, let's go with this. Yeah, that today the scholars, I don't know if anybody disputes that. Yeah, that all the scholars are of unanimously say that cash money is zakatable. Only I think you know, murabitun, they somewhat dispute. Have you heard of them? Murabitun, Maliki, some Maliki scholars, some of the Murabitun, they I think should little dispute on that. Because otherwise, I don't hear anybody, Sheikh Yusuf al-Qardawi and all the other scholars, nobody says that you don't pay zakat on cash. Okay? This is important. A lapse of a year. So you have your threshold, and yeah, that's actually to understand. Somebody starts to work, and they start to earn money now. So soon as their savings mount to the nisab amount, that is the date, and from that moment on, their year will start. That is what you need to understand. It is not Ramadan. Okay? But of course, if you have forgotten, now many of us, maybe if you even ask me, when did you become Sahib in Nisab? I've forgotten all of that. Then what do you do? That is the reason, you know, the scholars say, okay, look, try to determine when did you become Sahib Nisab, a person who, owner of the minimum threshold, when did you become the owner of that? If you do not remember a date, and if you don't have a best guess as well, then basically what you can do, you can then again, you know, they still say, the scholars will still say, look, think of a date. If you cannot, then at the last resort, they can say, okay, then at least, you know, make Ramadan, one of the days in Ramadan to be your zakat date. Okay? So is that understood? That actually needs to be understood. Because many of us, we think that you pay zakat in Ramadan, and everybody waits for Ramadan to come in. What is going to happen through the year? You know, the poor people, do only people become poor in Ramadan? That's not true, is it? That's not factual. So people are poor. Poor people need money throughout the year. So therefore, whichever date we became the owner of the minimum threshold, that is our zakat date. Okay, so basically today it is easy. You can just punch in those dates, yeah, on our mobile. Because on our mobile it gives you both dates. You can have that set up, yeah, that it gives you the Gregorian date here, yeah, and the Hijri date, both dates. So that should help us, you know, keep a track on the dates, yeah, lunar date. So remember, one lunar year. So basically, after you've become the owner of the minimum threshold, after passage of a year, then you need to pay zakat. So during the year, your money can fluctuate. Yeah? It can go up and down. That doesn't matter, as long as it does not hit what? Zero. Fluctuation during the year, it doesn't matter. So at the end of the year, if you do have nisab, you pay zakat. But at the end of the year, if you do not have nisab, and it is below nisab, of course, then you don't pay zakat that year, and you pay whenever your money again reaches nisab. You basically what? Keep that date in your diary, and after passage of a year again you pay zakat. Is that clear? So just say 10th of Muharram, I became Sahib al-Nisab in 1443 last year, and now it's 1444. What I will do on the 10th of Muharram, did I say, I will see that do I have Nisab money. If I don't, then basically what will I do? My year will start again, just say Muharram, Safar, Rabiul Awwal, Rabiul Thani, I became what? Sahib Nisab again. Then when do I need to pay zakat? Is it next Muharram or next Rabiul Thani? Rabiul Thani. Next year Rabiul Thani, 1445 Rabiul Thani, I'll pay zakat. Is that clear? So that needs to be understood. And they give example here as well. Another thing is just say about 5 days before your nisab date, you gain £50,000. That is also zakatable. So passage of the year is not necessary. Every amount of money that you have, over each amount a year has passed by. That's not necessary. So that is the reason why we're saying 10 days before, 5 days before, the money that you have received or earned, that money is also zakatable. Yeah, so basically again we are saying how do you fix your zakat here? It's through best, if you don't remember, best guess here is what you take into account. That is what you go by. Yeah, so another thing is that zakat is at least you should pay by the next year. If you do not pay your zakat by the next year, your zakat year, you have to pay zakat on that money again. Okay? So just say I need to take £40 out. I did not pay zakat on that £40. At the end of the year, that £40 will be separately zakatable. You see? Because they say that you have to pay zakat on that £40 that you have not paid zakat of. Okay, it is not necessary to pay zakat in Ramadan. Although it's a blessed month, the thawab is multiplied here. But as we said, zakat, poor people, they need money throughout the year. That is the reason why we need to fulfill their needs. Yeah? There are two conditions for the validity of payment: intention, and the recipient is eligible for zakat. So intention is basically that at the time of you paying out that money, you make intention that I'm giving it for zakat purpose. You cannot have given money to someone and then that person has spent that money and then you say that, look, I might as well convert that to zakat money. So, okay, you cannot do that. Okay, so basically at the time of you paying that money to that person, at that moment you need to make intention. Or basically the time you put the money aside. If you putting money aside to a pot, and at the time you've done that, if you've made intention that that's zakat money, now every time you take out money to give the poor, you don't have to make a separate intention. You can keep on giving it away. Yeah. Now, another thing is important that tamlik, that zakat money is given to not to build a property like masjid. You cannot give zakat money for a masjid to be built. Yeah? You cannot give zakat. It has to go to a human being, a poor human being. Do you see? Yeah. Just say you've given zakat money to someone and you realize you thought your analogy at the moment that you gave the money, you thought that person is a poor. Later on you find out that he's a rich person. Is the zakat fulfilled? The zakat, the payment of zakat that was obligatory on you, is that fulfilled?
Yes.
It is, it is. Do you see? Unless basically, I think if you've given it to your father, that person you thought, the poor person you gave it was your father. Okay? Or your son, maybe.
I thought you could not give zakah.
No, I know. You didn't know. You didn't know. You didn't know. That is the reason why we're saying that. We are saying that you have to repay that if he was your father, because you cannot pay zakat to your father. But any other person, if you have given zakat to, thinking that he's a poor person, and then you realize actually he's not, then you don't have to repay that zakat. Okay. Okay, this is actually the 8 categories of people who are entitled to zakat. All of them are mentioned in Quran. So poor person, a destitute, do you see? So poor person, he's got something, some belonging, but it's not enough to fulfill his needs. Yeah? Destitute is totally destitute, he's got nothing. Zakat collector, this is the issue of today. You know, these organizations that collect zakat, some of them, do you know that they pay their employees with that zakat money? I don't know if you know that. Do you know that? Some of the zakat, like, it's charity organization. So, although you can see here that they are the category, one of the categories of people that you can, they can receive zakat, the zakat collectors, you can pay them as their wages. So, from the zakat they have collected, they can be given wages from that. Is that clear? So, according to Hanafiya, is basically you cannot give 50% of what he has collected. Sheikh al-Qardawi is about 12.5%. You cannot give what he has collected, they should not take more than 12%, 12.5%. Actually, he divided all that into 8 categories into 100 by 100 is 12.5%, I think so. That's what he has done, Sheikh al-Qardawi. So basically, yeah, is that clear? So if you hear that some zakat, or the organizations that collect zakat, they actually give wages to their employees, that is one of the opinions. Okay, but like Mufti Taqi Uthmani and many others, they say that it is only the Islamic, this is only specific to Islamic government. If the Islamic government, they are collecting zakat, then they can basically what? Give it to the employee. People who they employed to do that, they can give from zakat money, they can give those employees. It doesn't apply to NGOs.
Isn't it like, let's say, a charity organization, they do a lot of charity work, right? So, 100% of the work is not about zakat. So they may be doing.
Okay, fine. If they can do that, that's fine. Keep that calculation. But just to remember that I'm actually mentioning that you brothers to know that there's 2 opinions. One opinion of Mufti Taqi Uthmani Sahib is a great scholar. I don't know, you know Mufti Taqi Uthmani Sahib, yeah? He's a great scholar of subcontinent. He's a very renowned scholar, Mufti Taqi Uthmani. His opinion is that, and many others as well, that only that zakat collectors who Allah is mentioning is basically, it applies to only what? Islamic government. Is that clear? It doesn't apply to NGOs. And there are scholars like Mufti Barakatullah in this country and Sheikh al-Qardawi and others, they say that look, many other role of Islamic government, Qadi, and we have to take it. Like when you go to sometime they had to get their marriage annulled, women go to their Sharia council. Sharia council is not a government here, they're not Qadi, but they basically behave like that though. They take that role, and that is, they basically annul marriages. In Sharia, the only court, Islamic Sharia court can. Court is appointed by the government, yeah? They can only annul marriages in certain circumstances, yeah? Not all circumstances. We see that the Sharia council take that role or not in this country. You know that they do, yeah? So they're arguing that, because of we don't have no Islamic government, these NGOs, they can take on that role. But again, Sheikh Yusuf al-Qaradawi put lots of conditions. There are conditions as well, yeah? You see, there are conditions. So not so today what anybody will do, I'm going to open what? A charity organization, and I'm going to give salary from zakat, that money that I collect. I cannot do that. It has to be an organization that is significant, big, and so forth. There are conditions to that. I'm sure the organization who give their employees zakat money, yeah, as their wages, they will know these rules. Yeah? I'm sure they're following, inshallah, they should be following that. So is that clear? Yeah, that but you can choose. Listen, if you follow the opinion that Mufti, that you don't give it to those organizations that give wages from collected zakat money. If you do not believe that it is permissible to do that, okay?
How do we know that?
They announce it. All the organizations do. They announce it on their website. They do. They clearly announce it. Of course, we don't. This fifth category, a slave that was purchasing himself out, we don't have to actually much delve in that. You can give zakat money to him. So a slave was purchasing himself out from his master. So he's in debt now, yeah, with his master. You can give him the money to pay off his debt, to free himself. People who are in debt. So their debt is so much that now the minimum threshold, it is eaten into that. So that person has £5,000 is in account, but he's in debt of £10,000, for instance. If this person is now, that this person is struggling to pay off his, debt, you can basically give zakat money to him.
Would that person need to pay zakat if he has got?
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't. Debt, but has got enough money.
If that is immediately payable, he doesn't have to pay zakat on that. Is that clear? Sorry. So if you have £10,000, he has got £5,000 in his account, and his debt is £10,000. Yeah. Yeah. So if that is immediately he needs to pay, is a short-term debt, then of course on that £5,000 he doesn't need to pay zakat on. Is that clear? But if that's a long-term debt, he only needs to pay in that 12 installment, £2,000 for instance. But again, £3,000 is below the nisab. Let's talk about a scenario where it is above the nisab. So basically, just say he's got £6,000 in his account and he's got £10,000 what? Debt. But then for next 12 months that he needs to pay is only what? £2,000. Just say argument's like £4,000 is nisab, yeah? He'll have to still pay what? Zakat on £4,000, not £6,000. Is that clear? Listen.
The debt is like they don't have to pay, say, in 5 years' time, 6 years' time. They don't have to pay the debts back. Nothing.
Then you cannot minus that.
So you have to pay £5,000.
Yeah, so on the £5,000 that you have, if that is the minimum threshold, you have to pay zakat. But if it is like, as we said, if it is ASP that you need to pay off, then of course you don't have to pay zakat on that 5,000. But if it is like you're saying, he doesn't need to pay in next 5 years, then he cannot deduct that £10,000. Okay.
So how do you consider it as a long-term debt?
Anything that you don't have to pay within a year.
Within a year.
Listen, a traveler is basically back home. He's a rich person, but he's stranded somewhere. He's lost everything, all communication with his family. That's a very rare scenario today, yeah, to find somebody actually to lose all his connections. Yeah, so if you find somebody who is rich, yeah, but at this moment of time he's penniless, you can give zakat to him.
I mean, you can have, let's say, someone lost their wallet, right, and then they don't have money to go home.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, just a very rare scenario. You can get your mobile, can just transfer some money. You see, it's not. Anyway, it could be. There could be a possible scenario. Okay, so you can see that they're clearly saying, yeah, you cannot give zakat money to build a masjid. Do you know what do they do then? Somebody, they're poor people, they need to build a masjid. How do we solve their problem? Basically what we need to do, appoint few poor people, and we say to them, look, can you give us permission to collect zakat money on your behalf, and give also permission, yeah, that you permit with that zakat money that we've collected for you, you permit us to build a masjid with it. That is the only way to go around this. Okay? So there's a poor community, they need money to what? Build a masjid. They don't have it. Can you now use zakat money to build a masjid? No. What you have to do, you have to give it to those poor people, and they should then with that money use it to build a masjid. But there's an issue, isn't it? What if they run off with this money? Can you do anything about it then?
No, you can't.
You cannot. So the way to go about doing that, basically what you say, look, if you're serious about building a masjid, then give me permission to collect money on your behalf, and also the second permission, give me permission also to build a masjid for you. If they give these both permissions here, then you can build a masjid for them with that zakat money. Is that clear?
Well, it depends on whether they're doing it on free will or just...
No, they have to. If they don't, isn't it? They have the whole option.
No, because they're, many of them are poor, they may not have the...
Listen, they had the right to say yes or no, isn't it? If they said yes, then they have said yes. Anyway, as we said, you cannot just go and build a masjid with that money. You cannot go to market and basically start buying slaves and with zakat money for their freedom. You cannot do that. You cannot give zakat money to a rich person. You cannot give it to your father, grandfather, your children, grandchildren. Yeah, you cannot give zakat to them. Husband cannot give it to wife. Wife cannot give it to husband. Yeah.
You can give it to siblings though.
Yes, you can. You can. It says here, you can give it to your siblings. Listen, these are the other people that you cannot give zakat to. Banu Hashim. The family of, actually these are Ali radiallahu anhu's family, Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu's family, household of Ja'far. If you know, like Qurayshi people, they know Sayyid people, Sayyid who they cannot take zakat money. But listen, there is an opinion, because there is no Baytul Mal today, listening, there are scholars who say that they can take zakat money. Is that clear? Just remember that. If you hear that some scholars are allowing Banu Hashim to take zakat money today, this is the reason why they are allowing. Why? Because there are no Baytul Mal. Muslim treasury, there is none. Yeah, I don't know if there is none. Yeah, therefore they. Yeah, listen. People that need to pay you back your owed money, they are zakatable. Is that clear? Owed money is zakatable. See, if I borrowed £10,000 to somebody, when zakat year comes, I need to pay zakat on that.
So what if that person, ask them, they never pay the money?
Okay, that's fine. Then basically, if you like losing hope, you don't have to. And of course, you don't have no proof as well, yeah? Then you can take them to court. Okay.
Court is expensive also, right?
Yeah. So basically, what it says here, according to Hanafi madhab, if you have proved that this person has loaned money, as long as they say that hopeful, and you have proof here, then you have to pay zakat. There are other madhahib that say that if he's not paying you because of poverty, then you don't have to pay zakat. There are these opinions, like Imam Malik's opinion. There are those opinions as well. Okay. But the Hanafi opinion, as you said, it is zakatable, okay? Loaned money, as long as you have hope that this person will pay you back, or you have proof to do so. Okay, we're going to finish, inshallah. You're going to finish that now. So, inshallah, actually, we have covered all the main point of zakat. Okay, so, yeah, look. Is that something that, can you look at? Look. That's what they're saying, yeah?
So provident contribution fund and any fund is that. No, well the thing is, it doesn't get deducted from wages.
Okay, anyway. Yeah.
The slides be available somewhere?
Sorry?
Is it going to be in YouTube, right?
We can take a copy, inshallah. Okay, inshallah, we will end now. And I hope that brothers benefited from this. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.